In today's video, I'm going to be talking about whether a resort facility makes a good investment or not. If we haven't met before, my name's Angela. I'm your money messenger. On this channel, you're going to learn about all things money related. I'm sharing with you some of my knowledge that I've learned over my 20-year career working in the financial planning industry, whereby I help financial advisors to help their clients repay debt, save money, and get wealthier. So today's question comes from Stuart, subscriber to this channel. Stuart wanted to know whether the resort facility makes a good investment or not. So thanks, Stuart, for asking this great question. When we're talking about property investment, often people will buy a property that's in their same suburb that they live in, purely because they're comfortable with it. They understand the streets, the prices, the types of houses, they can drive past, they feel comfortable and secure with it. But not all property is created equal. Not all property is investment grade and worthy of your hard-earned dollars. So what we're going to look at is how personally I would buy a property, what makes a good property, and then how that stacks up against a resort facility investment. When people are considering a resort style investment, there could be a lot of factors why, but the main ones are usually because they seem to be safe, they seem that they could be in high demand, they seem like they could be managed for you and therefore low fuss, low muck around, and also there could be a factor that you could use the resort personally for a period of time each year for a certain number of days or weeks. So let's explore that a bit more and then whether that relates to a property that I would think is investment grade, whether they match up or not. Number one, the location. You've probably heard that saying before, location, location, location. It really is true when it comes to property. It's not the only factor, but it's really important. If you focus on buying an investment property that is either CBD, beach, or river located, that's a great place to start because they're the places, the locations that draw people, tenants. It creates demand for the type of property you have. Wherever possible, pick a blue chip suburb, somewhere that tenants, it's a desirable suburb, people would like to live in there, there's low vacancy rate because people always want to live there. And that's where the beach, CBD or river attract people. When I say CBD, I don't mean right in the middle of the CBD. It could be inner ring, middle ring, so 5 to maybe 20 Ks out of the CBD, depending on what state you're in. But who is your target market? What makes a property, a location desirable is the type of people that are living there, the schools, the infrastructure and whatnot that draws people there. So when we're looking at a investment property in a resort facility, check the suburb. Is it a blue chip suburb? Quite often it'll be a holiday destination. So to me, that's not a blue chip suburb. It could be, Byron Bay is a holiday suburb, but is that blue chip? Oh yes, that's a different ballgame. That is prestige, very, very different. If you're buying a property in Byron Bay, you're probably not watching this channel. But if we're looking at just a regular resort facility, say something in the Gold Coast or some other holiday destination that's really popular, are they blue chip suburbs? Do they have the infrastructure in there? Do they have the schools in there that attracts tenants, that attracts other owner occupiers in there? Probably not. It's probably more of a period of time during the year, a holiday destination that has people there for vacation times only. I don't really think that's blue chip. Another factor about being an investment grade property is the scarcity. Is the property you're looking at scarce? Is there anything special about it that makes it different to the neighbour behind you or next to you? Is there anything that would attract a tenant to that particular property versus the tenant just going to the next door property? For a resort facility, it's probably going to be an apartment or a unit. It's probably going to be fairly medium to high rise. And it's probably going to be pretty much same as the room that's next to it. So to me, a resort facility doesn't really have a lot of scarcity or a lot of point of difference. There's nothing really special between one room and another. Yes, you've got some that maybe are a double room or some that are a king room or a family room, but otherwise it's pretty much, they're all the same in the complex. It's a high-rise apartment. There's nothing particularly different about you or your neighbour. So is it scarce? Is there anything different about the property? Is it different to the resort that's next to it? Yes, there could be small differences, a pool, a spa or whatever, but really a resort is a resort. They're going to be one and the same right next to each other. So again, a resort property. Do I think it's different? Is there supply and demand for what you've got? Not so much. Is there demand all year round or is it only going to be when there's a vacation or a holiday period around? You really want a property that has year-round demand. Another factor that makes a property investment grade, can you add value to it? Can you do a small renovation? Can you subdivide the property? Can you do something to the property to make it stand out or to make it increase in value quickly so that you can put some capital growth in your pocket rather than just waiting for the market to go up? With a resort style facility, you're probably not going to be able to renovate the room. You're probably not going to be able to change the room, knock down walls, subdivide, anything like that. You probably own an apartment, so it has very little land component, and it's one and the same as the next room next to it. You can't really do anything to it. Yes, the resort facility will maintain the property for you and keep it in good nick, but you can't really do anything of value to the property to change it. It will have to stay the same. Now, the other part to being investment grade is whether you've bought right. That's not only just the initial price, but the ongoing costs as well that are associated with the property. So when you want to buy a property, always try and negotiate. It may or may not work, but you may not know why also the person is selling, what's their motivation. And so if you always go in with a negotiable price, you could end up buying right, as in the price being right, or even a little bit lower, which then puts money in your pocket. Buying right also means you don't overpay, which then doesn't shoot yourself in the foot where you have to hold the property because you're simply behind because you overpaid. So it's really important to know your prices of the property that you want to buy and make sure that you don't overpay. If you're buying a resort style facility, it's going to be very hard to negotiate. They're probably going to be set prices or, set prices depending on the room you pick, depending on what level it's on. So you're not going to have as much a chance to negotiate. But then also consider the management costs, the ongoing management costs after you've bought your resort style facility. What are the management fees? Quite often, if you're buying into a holiday location, a property that has a management team already associated, someone that's going to maintain the property, clean the property, change the sheets when somebody goes out, a tenant or a guest, that will come at a fee, and it's usually quite hefty. We see this now with some people that are renting out their properties with Airbnb. There's Airbnb management companies that have now been created, and they do have quite significant fees attached because there's a lot of work going into the turnover of the tenants coming and going, the guests, so to speak. They're not in there for 6 months or 12 months at a time. They could be in there for a few days at a time. So changing more sheets, cleaning more rooms, more turnover, more maintenance for the property, that comes at a cost. So resort style facilities can have quite hefty management fees attached to them, usually much higher than you simply having a property that you're renting out with an agent that's maybe taking 8 or 9 or 10% of your rental income, and then the maintenance that you would have to do fixing your property throughout the year when things break down. When you add up all those costs, I still think the resort style facility will be much more expensive to maintain on an ongoing basis. And with the price being investment grade, I also think about what's the type of income you're going to have coming in. It's one thing to pay X amount for a property that you want to rent out, but you want to know what sort of income you're going to be getting in from that property so that you can work out how much your fee is going to be and then what you're going to have left over. Yes, if you buy a resort style facility, you're probably going to get higher rent on a day-to-day basis than if you had a property that you rented out to a tenant. However, with that also comes the fact that your property may not be rented out for the entire year. So you will have higher vacancy rates with a resort style facility usually. The suburb that they're in will probably be a accommodation type, holiday type destination. So the demand will be different. You may have a property that could be rented out for 6 months of the year and you make just as much income as a property that's held in a normal suburb rented to a tenant for a year, but you will have vacancy rates there. So you want to make sure you're getting good rental income and check what your vacancy rates are likely to be in the suburb you're looking at in the resort facility. Now, some of these rental resort facilities will have a rental guarantee attached, which is why some people think they're quite safe because your income is guaranteed. It could be a 10%, 15%, or a 20% rental yield guarantee. However, ain't nothing for free in this life. So if somebody's guaranteeing you the money that you're going to make from an investment, that's because it's been wrapped up in the purchase price that you've paid. Whether you buy a resort style facility or whether you buy an off-the-plan apartment from a developer, they too often can have a rental guarantee. It's because the developer is promising you some rental income to make the investment safer for you so that you buy. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Those extra guarantees, the guaranteed money that you're going to be paid, it is factored into the price that you pay and that other people have paid for the entire development, for the entire resort. So nothing's for free. Guarantees to me are usually actually a warning sign, because if somebody has to guarantee you the money that you're going to make from an investment for a period of time, could be 6 months, could be a year or whatever, why do they need to guarantee the income? usually is to make it look more desirable to you, to add a level of safety. So my question then is, what happens after the rental guarantee expires? What rent will you be getting? What vacancy rates will there be? And how much worse off will you be if your income is not guaranteed? And then on the back of a rental guarantee, another promise that these properties usually offer for you personally is to use the property for a certain number of days or weeks per year as a reward to you for property ownership, as your own holiday destination. Now that also might seem really nice and generous and desirable. However, again, nothing's for free. So the resort facility is not offering you that out of the goodness of their heart. They're just trying to stack in some extra benefits for you to be owning the property. Instead of doing that, because nothing's for free, this comes out of your profit. This comes out of your overall vacancy rates. You're usually better off just renting a property, hiring a hotel room or whatever, wherever you want to go each year for a holiday. Just do it when you need it, instead of having a property sitting there all year on the basis knowing that for a chunk of it, you will be using yourself. And so you're the one taking away from your profit in that case. So knowing what you know now about what makes a property investment grade, let's go through to see whether a resort style facility meets the criteria. Is the property located in a blue chip suburb? Probably not. If it's located in a beachside town or a holiday destination, to me that's probably not blue chip. Doesn't mean it's a bad location if you specifically want a holiday rental property, but is it blue chip? Are you going to have more tenants always desirable wanting to be in your property? Think about the supply and demand. Is the location that you're choosing, will it be in demand all year round or only for certain periods of time? Is there a point of difference to your property? Is your resort facility room pretty much the same as the room next door to it? Is the resort that you're looking into buying into pretty much the same as the resort next door to it? Are there lots of resorts in the town that you're looking to buy your property? Is there any different your room to all the other ones in the high-rise location? Is there any way of adding value? Can you renovate the property? Can you add a room? Can you knock down a wall? Can you give it a lick of paint? Can you one day perhaps subdivide and really increase the value of the property? Probably not with a resort style facility. Can you buy right? Can you negotiate the price? And what's the running costs afterwards? The maintenance fees, they'll probably be pretty considerable with a resort style facility. And don't be swayed by rental guarantees and the promise for you to personally use the property. Remember, nothing's for free. Somebody is paying for those benefits, and that usually is you. So to summarize, I am not really a fan of resort style facilities as an investment. I think there are too many limitations compared to just buying a regular property that has a lot more going for it and a lot less restrictions. As a person that invests herself, I'm actually quite conservative. So I like to have a backup plan for a backup plan when I'm investing to reduce the risk and increase my profits. And that way, not only does it increase wealth, but it also can help me springboard into the next property by creating equity. So for me, I like to have a backup plan for the backup plan. That means I buy right. Always, I try and get the best suburb that I can or the best location. It may not be the most expensive suburb, but maybe it's the one next door to it or as close as I can get to a blue chip suburb. I look for a property that has all year rental demand and one that has good infrastructure and good shops around it, or maybe some upgrades being done to the suburb that are attracting people, maybe some good schools that are in that area. Number two, I always try and be able to add value to the property. So I'll look for one that needs a little bit of renovation, nothing too crazy, but just some paint or maybe some upgrades to the bathroom or the kitchen, something I can add value and create immediate capital growth. Whether I do it now or later, but it's something that is there for me as an option. And number three, I look for an area that will have long-term growth. So not only have I bought right at the beginning, not only have I been able to perhaps add value now or sometime in the future, but then number three, the other level of capital growth will be the long-term capital growth because I've bought in a good suburb or because I've bought a property that's appropriate for the type of demographic in the suburb. So thanks very much, Stuart, for asking the question of whether a resort style facility makes a good investment or not. To summarize, I don't think they're a bad investment. I just don't think they're particularly great. I think you can do better elsewhere by buying a property that has less limitations and perhaps more upside. Thanks for joining me today. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and don't forget to share this video and comment in the box below if you've got any other questions relating to money. And I'll see you all next week for another video. Bye.